At number 8, the 1998-99 New York Knicks. The Knicks were actually expected to be one of the main challengers for the title, with Michael Jordan retiring and Scottie Pippen leaving Chicago to go to Houston. This team had more talent than ever, and there were no more excuses. The franchise made 2 big-time moves before the season. The Knicks cut their decade-long relationship with Charles Oakley by trading him to Toronto for 6'11" center Marcus Camby, who was coming off a season in which he led the league in blocks. He was going to provide much-needed relief for the 35-year-old Patrick Ewing at the 5 spot. The other high-profile move the Knicks made was another trade made before the season started in January. The Knicks traded away John Starks, Chris Mills, and Terry Cummins to bring in the controversial Latrell Sprewell. Sprewell was one of the most talented guards in the league at the time. He was 15 months removed from his last NBA game because of his suspension for choking then Warriors coach PJ Carlesimo back in December of '97. He was going to complement the likes of Allen Houston, Larry Johnson, and the 11-time All-Star Patrick Ewing. The Knicks were set up to be a force in the Eastern Conference. Like the rest of the league, the Knicks were struggling to knock off the rust, mainly because of the extended basketball break because of the lockout. Although the team would win 7 of their first 10 games, they stood 14-10 at the halfway stage of the season. Add to the fact that Sprewell and Ewing combined to miss 19 of the team's first 28 games because of injury, and things were far from rosy in the Garden. The Knicks were no longer the team that thrived on strictly physicality like in years past, but they weren't the up-tempo team they were supposed to be. Winning 6 of their final 8 games, the Knicks salvaged their season to sneak in as the 8th seed with a 27-20 record, 1 game ahead of the Charlotte Hornets. Their first-round opponent was no other than their hated rival, the Miami Heat. Despite their clear status as underdogs heading into the series, the pressure was still on the New York franchise. 12 months earlier, they came out on top against the same opponent in a crazy series. And tension was just as high as ever. Same type of teams, same type of philosophy, same type of coaches, same type of styles. It was the typical Miami-New York playoff series. After 4 games, the series was tied at 2 games apiece. Final possession, Miami up 1, Knicks ball.
Charlie Ward inbounding on the right sideline. Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper, off the front rim, and in. New York wins.
This time Allen Houston is legit. He is the hero. He sealed the deal.
And the New York Knicks have become the second number 8 team in NBA history to knock off a number 1.
The Knicks pulled off the upset as the 8th seed against the team they hated the most. That shot by Houston catapulted a great playoff run by the Knicks. This team with Houston and Sprewell firing on all cylinders was not the same team that was in disarray in the regular season. Having played through the pain of a nagging Achilles injury to help the team get through the first 2 rounds, Patrick Ewing's aging body finally gave up on him as he was ruled out for the remainder of the playoffs with a torn Achilles. Allen Houston's outstanding play continued all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals against Reggie Miller and the Pacers. Houston was relentless against Reggie Miller, taking it to him every chance he could. And one of the most iconic shots in the 90s was Larry Johnson's 4-point play over Antonio Davis in Game 3, and the Knicks won that game 92-91, even though it probably was a bad call. Marcus Camby also stepped up, dominating off the bench to finish 1 rebound shy of 4 straight double-doubles as the Knicks claim a 4-2 series win. The Knicks were celebrating having become the first 8 seed in NBA history to reach the NBA Finals. But the Knicks met their match in the finals against the Spurs. They could only manage to win 1 game. Led by David Robinson and Tim Duncan, the Spurs were just too much for the short-handed Knicks team. It was an unusual season for the Knicks, but they showed resilience and fight, and it offered hope for every lower-seeded team entering the playoffs in years since. At number 7, the 1994-95 Orlando Magic. In only their 6th season in the league, the Orlando Magic posted the best record in the Eastern Conference. Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway gave the team a young, talented, and explosive nucleus. In his 3rd season, Shaq led the league in scoring with 29.3 points per game and 3rd in rebounding at 11.4 rebounds per game. He was dominant down low and was the first option on offense as well as the last line of defense. Keep in mind, Shaq was in much better shape at this point of his career, much more agile and athletic than he was later in his career. Hardaway evolved into a star in his own right in his second season. Penny was as good an NBA superstar during his prime as you'll see. Hardaway had an explosive offensive skill set and also led the team in steals. He was a combo guard and was able to get the ball to Shaq in great position at will. Hardaway commonly drew comparisons to Magic Johnson early in his career, and rightfully so. Nick Anderson was a hard-working, productive fan favorite who was a solid third option on offense. Dennis Scott, affectionately known as 3D, was a dead-eye shooter and was an iconic figure for the Magic in their heyday. He was an integral part of the team's run to the finals, shooting 42% from beyond the arc that season. While Orlando's two young stars were the most important pieces to the team's success, another key for the Magic that season was the offseason acquisition of Horace Grant, an all-star forward with a winning pedigree. Grant came to Orlando as a free agent, touting 3 championship rings from the Chicago Bulls. His toughness and veteran leadership proved to be crucial to the young team. The team made it all the way to the finals and went up against Hakeem Olajuwon and the Rockets. Game 1 could have changed the course of the series for the Magic. With the Magic up by 3 points in Game 1, Nick Anderson had a chance to seal the game at the free throw line.
He couldn't handle it, but the Rockets had hurt themselves on both boards.
Nick Anderson making his first appearance at the line, usually a dependable free throw shooter. The Magic with all kinds of difficulties at the line this season, particularly in fourth quarters. Today, though, Orlando 12 of 15 at the line. Anderson missing on both. Will shoot 2 more.
Well, everybody flat-footed, and Mario Elie came inside, but just stabbing at it, and the Magic get a huge break here after 2 Nick Anderson misses. Team anyway, they were going to do it by committee, and another miss by Nick Anderson.
Well, the 3 to make 4 rule, that's in effect, I believe, yes. And he misses 4 straight. The Rockets take a timeout with 5 and 6/10 seconds remaining.
He missed 4 consecutive free throws, and he only needed 1 to make it a 2-possession game. Kenny Smith hit that 3 to tie the game, and the rest is history. For a young and inexperienced team, that loss proved to be something they could not overcome. Who knows how the Orlando Magic would have fared in the series with the confidence of winning Game 1. Unfortunately, Nick Anderson will always be remembered for those missed free throws. Olajuwon dominated the whole series and led the Rockets to a 4-game sweep. It seemed as if the Magic was destined to be one of the great teams in the league for years to come. However, injuries and egos derailed that hope, and within a few short seasons, this team was back in the lottery.